Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
The mic is coming back. One second. There we go.
Yeah, who had their mic in a whacked? Oh, John Phillips had his what mic in a whacked out mode the other day. Like it was like perfect, like DJ, and then
I should do auto tune. Like those auto tune things. No?
well, it's more so it's back to there's something you just got very quiet again. Like I know I have do you know the Blue Yeti? You see them everywhere, like the silver ones. It has modes that if you do the wrong mode, it just and you're not directly facing it, you're done.
Interesting. Well, I'll take a look and I'll see what I can do. Becomes
Carly, how are you?
Hello there. I came to Lurk to learn about trust registries.
Well, I'm going to update the agenda and make you talk.
Kevin, I was going to go downstairs and get tea and eat a scone and stuff.
Because I did bring up you're just in the confluence, you're just Carly?
Yeah, apparently I
Oh, aren't
have
you
to
special?
go. Like let's see, what are some other single name artists? Zendaya,
Yeah,
Zendaya.
Prince.
Sure. No,
Exactly.
it's just she's Carly. She's the one and only.
Cool. I was putting the publish, putting the minutes together, and I had the symposium on there. So,
Yes. Hounding everyone at the symposium. Right on top of you.
yep.
We have Eric too. Eric's back from his long break. He was probably climbing some mountain someplace.
No. Hi guys.
I'm gonna turn off my screen and my mic and lurk and drink tea and eat a
Cool.
scone.
We will tag you for the symposium topic.
Okay.
Awesome.
Good to see everybody.
Good to see you. It was nice meeting you in person.
Yeah, nice meeting you as well. I was just saying that I need to catch up because I have no idea what's going on with IRA.
Cool.
I've been on the traditional August off month in France, and so I'm trying to catch up with everything.
Yep. Well, I took most of July off myself, and we've been heads down for August. But yeah, definitely, probably next week is probably a great time to connect. So I have deliverables for Drummond on first person project that relate to what you'll hear about IRA cards, but that's not our topic today. Just gonna shrink my screen a little. I'll share the notes. There's Mr. Bockenheimer. Okay, well, let's get kicked off. It's 4 after. So just to welcome back from the August sabbatical. It certainly was helpful for me, and I know Andor took some time, and sounds like Eric, you did too. Few things to cover off today. Just to remember, we have our antitrust. Everyone's here, kind of a veteran. We didn't have any previous action items other than shut down for the month of August. We are aiming, though, to have public review number 2 out this month, meaning that the spec should be in good enough state. The modifications we've been making that really have been refinements, cleanup, should be in good enough shape before the end of the month to go out. If we're going to do that, we need to set a date. What's the date? So we have a target to hit, and then figure out the other homework and stuff. Does anybody have any concerns about going to public review on that? I know Andor and I have certainly spoken about it. Drummond, any concerns?
I'm always in favor of public reviews. I mean, just as long as we're satisfied with what we're putting out into reviews. So no,
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing.
for what it's worth, we went through Daryl and I went through the spec yesterday and just took a look. It's mostly editorial changes and just adjustments. I think it's basically there. It just needs some tweaks just to get it, a little bit more clear and consistent in a few areas. So I think it's in a good
Yeah.
spot.
I've got a pull request from some of the stuff we worked on last
Ooh,
night,
too.
Andor.
There you go.
Eric,
What
thoughts,
is
comments?
what is the distribution? Who's your audience? Who are you trying to get to? Like Linux Foundation, Decentralized Trust, to Trust over IP, to Diff, or who, who are we looking for comments from? Or how are we going
Beyond that community,
Yeah.
the main ones would be active implementers. Now, they also may be members of those groups, but they're actively implementing. So, as an example, Drummond and I met with one of our IRA members. They're out of Singapore. I think you know Affinity. They're really looking for just an answer to build on. Just build on it and let it sit for 6 to 8 months, whatever period of time that says, hey, these are the actual problems that we have. Let's go and get to a final draft type of thing. There's no rush to go to a final draft. We want to get this out. There's been enough tweaks that we need to get something more concrete. But yeah, it's definitely beyond.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we just follow up. Do you, what's an estimated number of implementers that we've got at the moment with the TRQP?
I would say I'm aware of 5 or 6.
Half a dozen, yeah.
And they're all, so we have one that just said, we are only doing version 1 because it was the last public review or the last, and they said, when should we turn over? And they said, well, let's make sure we'll wait for that review. And part of it is people have looked at it, people have done it, and now they're looking, okay, why would I change?
Yeah. Okay.
Andor, you were going to say something?
Oh no. This is a very different question than Eric's thing. If I just realized we can probably I can see if we get a whole bunch of issues into GitHub, this is where AI is today. You can just actually ask it to go and file those issues. So if we need like a ton of issues done, I'm wondering if we could just send an agent to go do it and send PRs over, and then we can just spend some time reviewing the PRs instead. Just a thought that might make things a little bit faster, and it's actually not a bad way to scale some of the editorial stuff. I think it'd do a decent job with that. So,
Can you, did you just volunteer to help on that?
I will take a look and at least give some guidance, and if it's easy to do, I'll do it. But I need to think through if I
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I need to see. I have there's a service called CodeGen, which you can just tag a PR or issue. So let me see if I can get that to work with the repos there. The forking makes it a little more difficult. 1 second.
So if we're going to go to that, Drummond, you're aware of the process. What all do we need to do? I know we need to get a blog post going. I know we need to obviously prep the materials to release. We need to give the comms committee a heads up. Is there anything else?
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
So let me explain a couple things. The blog posts are now, everyone may be aware of this. They're Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust blog posts in our sort of sub blog or theme or whatever they have it there. So we collaborate. There's a specific person, Andor, I think you worked with that person before. Eric, you have. I know there's someone, he might be joining us in the ecosystem and governance call in the next hour to help us work on the symposium and stuff. But there's someone there that we work with that we just get it scheduled for. And it's easy, I mean, we can draft it wherever as a Google Doc or whatever, and then
Yeah.
they just put it up. It's always really good to have supply them with graphics. In other words, yeah, just even stuff from our spec or whatever, but they always like to have some visuals to go with it. And the one other thing is because it's public review, I mean, we have, I think, standard, I'm trying to remember where we look at some of the other public review instructions, I'm pretty sure we have a page on the wiki that says, here's how to comment on a public review, so we don't have to keep repeating that. But we just want to make sure when comments come in on a spec, they come in through GitHub, and whoever has to approve the feedback form, so we don't get into any IPR issues. So we just need to make sure that we include a link to those instructions in the blog post. All of our recent blog posts that point to public reviews have those. I think as I remember, we put a page on the wiki. I can see if I can go find that page right now. And yeah, and that's it. And then if there is, last thing is, of course, if it's in a public review, if there are any sort of open issues or places where we specifically want comments, then, you know, make sure to call those out in a visual way in the spec, like with a box or something like that. But if they, you know, if they're not, that's fine too. But if it all depends on what we're after in the public review.
Right. Cool. Okay. That'll be helpful. I'll ping you on that also. If we need to, I'll reach out to Daniela to find out who the person is to get the blog post ready with.
I will see if I can find that wiki page.
I think
Cool.
Carly knows who that is as well. Carly, do you remember who that person is?
Thomas?
Oh, is it really? Is it Tomas?
Of us. And he may be with us in this next hour on the
Yeah.
governance call.
Okay. I don't know Tomas. If he is there, Drummond, can you ping him just to let him know, to give him a heads up?
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. All right, so we're only 8 minutes into that conversation, but I think we can probably move on to more concrete. Andor and I were going through the GitHub, and we want to start really cleaning things up. Last thing we want to do is go to a public review with a whole bunch of outstanding pull requests and issues. We have another meeting with APAC this afternoon, their morning, but I'd like to propose that we go through and take a look at, there's 3 PRs. And there's just generally speaking issues. But if I deal with the PRs first, we have 3 of them. 2 of which they've been overtaken by events. And I suggest we close them as soon as we possibly can, if folks are up for that. And I'd like to close them today, meaning run it by APAC, and because these 2, if I look at you're seeing my screen still?
Yes.
Oh, that's really weird. Did someone close a pull request?
Zoom's got they've added tabs, so you may have to.
Sorry, are you seeing the list of pull requests?
Yeah.
Yep, 2 of
Yeah.
them.
This
Yeah.
morning there were 3.
Hmm.
Sorry, earlier this morning there were
closed
3.
them.
Actually, I
Go
have a
look
list.
at closed ones.
Yeah, look at the closed ones.
Well, I'm going to go to this one right here because this is the one that was. Okay. Charles, is that Charles Lanahan? Yeah, Charles closed it. Okay. Okay, perfect. That's already one of them's done. Good. So he put some information in. These pull requests are really old. So this one here is from April 10th. It was a fixed misspelling from Bass to Base. It's been so overtaken by events that the text doesn't even exist. Neither word exists in things. So any issues with closing this one out, like not accepting it, meaning just close it out and reject. And if there aren't any, I'll verify that again on the APAC call, and I will close them tonight. Close that one tonight.
I'm good with closing it.
I can't. It's not a contentious one at all. The other one, the last one, is number 142, or this is the one I went through last night, this morning.
Okay.
And it needs eyes. I've got you named on that. For what this is, folks, a few things. We had made a decision some time ago that version 2 is what we're calling this spec, but we had a misname. This was saying specification /V1. So there's a whole bunch of changes that reflect that. Just, hey, no, let's be consistent on V1 versus V2. The other piece was we had one we had only two JSON schema objects that were in the system, a general request and a general response. We now have an authorization request, authorization response, recognition request, recognition response, so that as we need to tailor those, that they are, specific and people can test against it. Beyond that, that's really the changes there. But if someone can take a look at that and make recommendations, I'd like to before the end of next week close off on that. But Andor,
I'm just looking at the PR. I didn't know if you do the insert, does it actually insert the text
yes,
and line?
it does.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I was you threw down that challenge last night. You said you didn't know how to do it, so I figured I would show you.
All right, that's good.
I actually commented in because I didn't want to lose the how do you do it. I actually commented in. It's right there.
So if you guys don't see that, So the issue is we had the JSON schema and then another file that was like the pure JSON schema, but then in the spec we wanted to reference it as because people don't want to necessarily go to a file somewhere else.
Yep.
And so we had two copies, and so they got out of sync sometimes.
Well, and it was using what I would call Daryl's coding style of copy and paste, which is not good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So I thought it was a limitation with Markdown, but it looks like you can actually.
it's actually this is specifically a spec up capability.
Yeah, so that is really cool.
Yeah.
So that allows us to just do direct inline references to existing JSON schemas. So this is
Yeah.
a really cool little feature I didn't know about. That's very nice. Nice find.
Yeah, so that's there. So if Andor, if you could take a look at it, make your thoughts. I don't think we have any urgency on it. But if we can close it off by next week, so I don't want to push it. I know you have other things on your plate.
Yeah. All right. I'll take a look. I'll give it a by the end of this call.
And anyone else, please feel free to weigh in on the pull requests. It's critical that we have other folks get in there too. Jumping over to issues, what I would like to be able to do, I think we all need to do this, which is we're sitting right now with 19 issues. I added 2 yesterday. But we need to go through these bottom to top is how I recommend going through and saying, hey, what do we recommend here? In the notes, I've got a note here that says, hey, we review each and put it in recommended disposition. I don't know if that's Drummond. Do you use the word disposition for dispositioning comments, issues?
Resolving.
Resolving, okay, because this is a very much certainly a Canadian ISO standards. The SEC does this. The Digital Governance Council does this. They use the term dispositioning of comments and issues.
That's fine too. I'm friendly with Canadians.
But we've only got how many on here? 2. We're only at 2 today. Damn. But if we take a look, for example, there are I've got some recommendations. I'm going to load this one up here. This is one. Oh, it's not the one I wanted to look. Sorry. This is one that I wanted to. Just generally speaking. So if we look at this comment that came in, this is really about, hey, listen, Trust Registry Query Protocol really it's the best name we've ever come up with. It is the way you talk to systems of record, these trust registries, but each one of them behind the API can be wildly different. That's what this discussion really is about. But there's really value to the information here. Just simply closing off the ticket means we may lose this one. So this is a discussion. What I'm suggesting we do is that the content is good, but we need to move it somewhere. We need to capture it somewhere as a wiki at minimum, and ideally as a blog post. And maybe that's not necessarily a trust over IP. It's a story for a member of trust over IP to tell. It's a story for somewhere else, but we don't want to lose the content. Then if I look at where are the other issues? Other issues here. I haven't looked at this one, for example. JSON example requests are confusing. I don't even know what to do with this one.
So this, I think, has been mostly addressed by working with Andres on improving the way that the spec reads and using more of an authentic approach. So I actually think we can tag him. Let's do this. Let's tag him and just say, hey, do you have any issues with us closing this? Because he went through the review and the changes with us, and that kind of all came into this new version of the spec. So I think we're good here now. This was the old section 9.
Yep. And that's the attention you'll see. I've gone through many of the earlier issues. I think I got all the way up to here. So I've gone from number 21 to 120 to go through. But if you have time, please jump in and say, hey, what your thoughts are. And then at the next meeting, we can go and just close these things out. And you're going to be seeing probably a bunch of smaller issues fly in. So we track what we're doing, what we're changing, so that when we do the public review number 2, we can say, hey, this is what has changed in the spec itself, and here's why. That's part of the blog post as well. So if you have any time, please do that. Any other thoughts, comments on that? Cool. I'm going to tag the single named Carly, if you could, Carly. I was going to do a very poor job of explaining the symposium, but you're here, so it'd be awesome if you could do a job of telling us what it is, and I think you've already done that, but also for us to discuss what we're going to do for it.
It has changed a bit. So Drummond actually is more up to date on it. But the idea is, so the symposium has moved to November, November 19th and 20th. And unfortunately, I can't even come because I'm at another conference. So anyway, but I should be able to log in from the hotel conference area somewhere.
And say hi.
And say hi, yeah. So the steering committee had a discussion about how they're going to be updating it, and Drummond will be sharing an email soliciting conference symposium topics. Originally, I had pitched the idea of a use case that would kind of tie all the groups together, but the traction on that has been limited. We might in ecosystem still talk about through an example, which I had given with the trust mark, etc.
And the beekeepers.
Yeah, the sustainable agricultural example, and perhaps now Drummond can step in and talk about symposium iteration 2 as we continue working for the November event.
Sure, exactly. And so this email will go out. We have a ecosystem governance call, as I keep mentioning, in the next hour after this one, and we're going to go over the final proposed forms for submitting. It's a 2-day event. The first day is talks, presentations, or talks, and the second day is workshops. So, and the idea is the first day talk is either 30 or 60 minutes, up to the whoever's giving it, and each will be recorded independently. So we'll end up with this nice library of current presentations by everyone who wants to give one. And you'll see in the form is very simple. Any working group or task force or member or contributor to Trust RP can propose a talk, and we can line up the whole day, because we'll come up, once we have all the proposals, we'll come up with sort of what feels like a logical order, and then we'll publish that out. But we'll also tell everyone, hey, come to the ones you can, come to the whole day if you can, but everything will be recorded, so if you can't go to one, you can always listen to it later. That's the idea. And any working group or task force, what we want to do is, it's not just, hey, what are you working on? It's, what do you have to, what's your message that you want the audience of folks that you're trying to reach with, your deliverable, the problem you're solving? What do you want to present that's hopefully, compelling and interesting, and tells some piece of the story of what, Trust RP has been working on for the last 5 years, right? I think that would be fairly obvious for what we'd want to do here. Then the idea is the second day is actual interactive workshops. They're not designed for recording. It's if you have something you want to, an experience you want to take someone through, you want to do a deep dive on a spec, you want to do a hackathon, you want to do a hands-on example of what you're doing. I'm going to give you an example. The concept and terminology working group, which met on Tuesday, is going to do, we'll do a short talk on Spec Up T and the Trust ORP glossary, probably just a 30-minute talk. But we will then do a workshop actually showing folks how to use Spec Up T with whatever spec or document they're working on. And that would be an example of the second day. So that's the format. Again, later today we'll send out the forms for for anyone on Trust ORP to submit their proposals. The steering committee met last week and basically just on the steering committee, or in two cases, folks that we knew that weren't there, but we already have. I think it was 9 or 10 talks for the first day. We already have what we call champions, the folks that will submit the form and prepare the talk. So it's filling up, but again, we should be able to accommodate. Even if it filled up to 15 hours of content, we should be able to accommodate it all in one day and put a logical order. So that's the basic idea. And thank you to Carly and Eric and Scott and ecosystem and governance working group for sort of pushing this forward and getting us to do it. And now we've locked in on dates. So yeah, and as Carly pointed out again on that. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, so that's helpful. And I guess for this working group, what is the conversation? What does Trust Registry want to present? Or
Yeah. I was giving a description so folks knew that's what we're at.
Right. Okay. Cool. And then so does that mean that we want Trust Registry, or will it be IRA, or will it be another implementer, or a combination? We could have multiple talks or about this sort of different aspects of the same topic.
Yeah, so I'll put two different hats on and be very clear about them. Putting my IRA hat on, I'll be proposing try to do it in 30, likely 60-minute thing about IRA cards and how it's exercising the full trust over IP stack and why we're doing that, the business, the governance, and the tech pieces behind that. But separately, we should, as the task force, ask ourselves, what is it we want to share? Is it the right venue to say, here's what the task force is doing, here's where we're seeing various different groups do it? Or do we want to say, let's do a hands-on workshop or whatever? I'm totally open to everything. Very much focused though on that other hat of popping up the Iris story there.
I just wanted to add that I think it would be valuable, certainly to talk about the Irish story as an example of use case, but I mean it has value when it's a standard, and it becomes a standard when others can adopt. So to tell the story, to be like, this is the toolkit and we built this and you can build it too. And this is how. Come out to Trust over IP. Join this task force, an advertisement for this task force for how to extend it to other use cases.
Yeah, we have this, putting that IRA hat back on, we have this weird, a lot of our members are here. and it's a question of here's what we've found from, again, IRA hat on, not task force chair. Drummond and I just met with one of our members on Monday last week in Seattle, and they are all in on pushing the trust registry query protocol as far as possible, making sure it's as hard and exercise as possible, but they're all in 100% because of IRA cards. They have no interest in just talking about the spec. So it is driving the interest. It's but it also applies everywhere in their business. IRA cards is just the first, let's nail it here right now, but it applies everywhere. So it's a weird story. It's hard.
I mean, I think from a decentralized, well, we say decentralized because we want to meet certain, it doesn't have value because it's decentralized, but because it has value from certain properties which are characterized by decentralized. And some of those properties include jurisdictional freedom to operate. And because as a Canadian, also I'm looking at, if I have some piece of infrastructure that's dependent upon a government that might be hostile to Canada at the moment for trade relations, etc., by sticking my eggs in your basket, now you have the
Yep.
right. So that's there. And EU is the same, and China is the same, and everywhere else it's the same. So,
Yep.
so the strength comes from the ability to rebuild, reconstruct, copy, slide.
Yep. Yep. Mr. Reed.
Yeah, I have a simple suggestion, that we do a 30-minute talk, which is because we'll have a spec that will have been in public review, and it's getting fairly mature. Basically, a 30-minute talk from the task force that is a walkthrough of the spec, but very much focused on what Carly said. It's not as much the mechanics as it is explaining, here is why, here's the role of TRQP in trust RP stack and in the interoperability of digital trust ecosystems. And then a second talk, which makes with sense, to come afterwards, which is the IRA, the IRA story, whether it's 30 or 60 minutes, whatever you decide there. I think my gut is, if we have that first talk that's already going to have introduced TRQP and its role, that the IRA story probably would fit nicely in 30 minutes. And so we'd have a.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And it's because we don't want to lose the, even internally, the last thing I want to have is the all IRA channel, or the internally at IRA, last thing I want is the all Daryl channel. This is a story about trust over IP. Here's what we've learned. If there isn't concrete business and implementation, no one in our world cares. It's academic. So we want to have that balance of, here's why, and I like that. Here's why we've done this. Here's what it's, and by the way, here's where it's being worked, and here's why. And here's why the standard is the driver. It is the leveling piece. It is the aligning force behind it.
Right. And I think, and I'm going to keep reinforcing this, all of it. Think of it as we're packaging content for reuse too. For I think a good, at least it'll have at least a 6 to 12-month lifespan, and having the introduction to the protocol, and I'm interested in that piece, or no, I'm interested in how they're using it at this thing called IRA, and now we'll have these two clear chunks that we can promote that way.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that'll be great.
Yeah. So if that's the approach we take, who wants to help work in on the what is that 30-minute presentation?
I will help.
Yeah, because the more I do it, the more it's going to be an IRA story, which I can't help.
No, I know.
We need other voices. We must have other voices do this.
I would suggest, obviously, you do the IRA one.
Yeah.
And we have some combination of other task force members who would speak to the first one. I will volunteer to help with it. And
by the way, do you know which of these is you? Are you purple, green, or do you have a face?
The face. I always use the face one. I don't know why. I don't know what to do about the other ones. So I just use the face one.
I'm looking to see if this is actually you. You're not very active.
I don't know. How does one actually tell?
Oh wait, no, here you go. TSP. This is the one you did yesterday.
Yes.
Yep.
I try
so that's
to choose
you.
that one. I try and choose that one consistently. Cool. So yeah.
Anyone else? I see I just noted we have I just realized there's more people here. We have Fabrice. We have Scott Perry. Fabrice, I know you're active in the trust registry side of things, and you have one. It was good seeing you in Geneva, by the way. Andor and I were talking about you yesterday, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But would that be something you'd want to help out with?
I would be very happy to do that, but at the moment I have no private life, so it's very complicated for me to involve myself more.
Okay,
The good thing that I can say is that we are implementing the Trust Registry Query Protocol V2
cool,
natively in our registry of registries. So this is our contribution for the moment.
cool,
As soon as I have more time, I would be happy to give more of my time to the Trust Registry Task Force.
cool. Well, let's see what we can how much of your time we can borrow for that. So, but anybody else, please just jump in, and that would be, I think, what I think Drummond and I can do at least is try to create the beginnings of a, and I want to make sure that that there's a balanced view. It's not just again an IRA all the time view that is the Trust Registry Task Force. So that'll be one of the overarching goals of that. So anybody else put your name forward. I'll raise this same thing this afternoon, I guess, for APAC in their morning later today.
I don't know
Carly.
I don't know anything about the trust registry. I couldn't give you the presentation, but I can help because I can be the person who looks at it and asks the dumb questions your audience wants the answers to.
Well, I was going to say, Carly, might be a little bit further than that, because if you think about the ultimate customers for trust registry, I think about it, or ecosystems, right? They're the ones who actually
Yeah.
will have the need. So it might be, if we have in that first one, if it's a multiple speaker thing, it might be good to have, someone from ecosystem and governance say, hey, this is the problem set that from an ecosystem standpoint, these are the problems you need to solve, right? And this is
Yeah.
why look at the protocol this way, think about these options type of thing.
I want to learn more about this because I think I'm going to be starting to release the next tranche of bite-sized trust videos. They're all about DIDs, did, and then I want to start working on the next ones. And if I can get a trust registry idea out of this.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I guarantee you can.
Yeah, the note I just added is the way we've been able to land this story, both IRA, beyond IRA, is the Trust Registry Query Protocol really is the technical manifestation of the governance. So when I say, hey, there's 3 credential types we manage in this ecosystem, great. That is actually surfaced through a trust registry. Because that's really, really where the technology ties to the governance. But we'll have to explain that a little bit better than what I just did.
But I think, in a 30-minute talk, that's a
Yeah.
really good point. I love the idea that 3 or 4 of us just, we literally have it scripted, and 3 or 4 of us do
Yeah.
pieces of the presentation. If we want to leave
We-
room for, let's say 5 minutes of Q&A, that's only 25 minutes of, so it's going to go by pretty quickly.
We also likely can. I'll try and see if I can rope John Phillips in. He's leading for the UN. There, I won't comment on how well named the Global Trust Registry project has created geopolitical problems, which is a registry of registries play. But he's actually working on that, and that's a very different perspective, right? It's from a UN. Why are they doing it? That kind of a thing, and why is it necessary? And that might be also helpful. We also get someone from the APAC side participating more.
I think that'd be a fabulous thing to include in the the relevance, obviously, to what they're doing is massive. So great idea. There's a call later I don't know if you're going to be on it, Daryl, because of the things you've got going on, but I can raise it with him on the UN GTR call.
Yeah, which actually overlaps with the Trust Registry Task Force call, which is
Oh, it
awesome.
does?
Yeah, it's a half-hour overlap.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll be on that. I'll be on that as well. I have a feeling that because the APAC folks are likely also on the UN call, that it'll end quickly. But
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Cool. Okay, I think we've probably beaten that topic up. I'll make sure there's an action item to actually put a skeleton for the presentation. Drummond, this is the your sort of storyboard approach.
Yep.
Oh, there's two of me now. Oh yeah, I have a GAN account, GAN on IRA account for some reason.
Personas. They're just not.
Yeah.
I'm a
Well,
big fan of personas, but they have to be done right. So you know what persona, how to choose a
Yeah.
persona. There's no way to figure that out here that I figured
Well,
out.
that's yeah, LFX required it to be created for us to partner with to join OWF. So I didn't want it tied to my personal account. So okay, jumping topics. So we are certainly by the end of the month, the goal is to get public review number 2 out. At least one of the chairs needs to step back and pursue their lives. So there's an opportunity to bring in some change of leadership, some refreshing, some fresh thoughts, fresh blood. So just something to think about. If you want to lean in, if you know somebody who should be leaning in, just keep that in mind. We'll likely, as we wind up the public review, start doing that circulation and do whatever the administrative procedure is, so that certainly before the end of the year, but as soon as possible. I know that one of the chairs will likely need to step down right once we go to PR02. Still be there in the background, but largely speaking, needs to focus in on other things that are only tangentially related to trust registries. So just any thoughts you have on that, and just keep that in mind as we move ahead. And hopefully Fabrice will maybe free up some personal life, which he has none of, or anyone else.
Brilliant.
Anything else we want to cover off today? If not, we can get 20 minutes or 15 minutes for our day back.
Exactly. I'm going to mention one thing quickly, which is I understand that the folks building on, or the development team behind the TSP implementation at Open Wallet Foundation, in their experimentation with Trust Task built on top of Trust RP, created a proto buff definition of TRQP to test it as a trust task, and it apparently took them like 2 hours. So they're actually quite bullish to say, hey, yeah, there should definitely be a binding when we're ready. I don't think there's any particular rush, but I've said that for a long time. It's like, wow, it'd be really cool if there was a binding. Well, they did it, and they didn't consider it a big deal. It was like, oh yeah, this is an obvious trust task. So I'm just mentioning so that folks are aware of that. I want to learn more about it myself. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's it.
and similarly, there's a planned DIDCOM binding as well once we go to PR02,
Yeah, that would. Yeah, I think that would be great.
which is nice to see. It's a big shift from a year ago when we were just talking. Felt at times like we were shouting into the wilderness.
Yes, the fact that folks now sort of know how the pieces need to be connected together to get everything to work. This is good.
Yep. Cool. Well, if
All
there's
right.
nothing else, folks, I will wish you the best for the rest of your day. I may see some of you on the APAC call or in other calls momentarily, but let's see what we can do.
Sounds good. Time for breakfast before ecosystem and governance.
Hey,
Awesome.
Drummond, can I
Thanks,
ask
Noel.
you, thanks everyone, and Drummond, can I just ask you a 2-minute question?
Sure.
Okay. DIDs can contain the public keys that I can use in order to log in.
Or anything you need to do with those keys. Yeah.
Okay, so the specific use case, DIDs contain public keys that I can use to log in. If I have, say, a research data ecosystem where I have multiple parties across everything, I could either say, okay, we're going to do a federated login and I'm going to run something like OpenID or whatever, some variation of that name, and I'm going to handle all your usernames and passwords, and they will come to me, and then they will get the token, and then they can go out to the external research repository. That's one way that I could do it.
Yes.
I could have an authorization language that the ecosystem uses where each individual could maybe at their specific university have a set of DIDs, a DID library of the people who are members of the University of Guelph, or if I wanted to store it somewhere else. And then the DIDs would be scattered around into different infrastructure. And then the authorizations could be written where I'd say, I'm authorizing Drummond Reed did such and such, which you can resolve at the University of Guelph, and get his public key or his most recent public key in order to log into research infrastructure X in order to access a data set or perform analysis.
Yes, it's just one step more than that, which is if you separate out, which we do with trust RP stack and decentralized architecture in general, the DID and the cryptographic proof of control of that DID from the authorization. What is that DID allowed to do?
Yeah.
And when you do that, the authentication often just means, yes, cryptographic authentication with the DID. Okay. Which is all you literally need if it's a matter of authenticating to the to the site or the resource, whatever it is either the list of DIDs or or a reference to well, actually, yeah, it's a list of DIDs. If you want to, the second part of who's authorized to do things, you want to then, as a general rule, the pattern is use verifiable credentials.
Right.
So,
I was going to say that. So Drummond would show up at the door and say, here's my verifiable credential, which says I'm allowed to access dataset X, and it's signed by the dataset X owner.
yes,
That you verify, and that owner verified did such and such, which I Drummond control. And then I would say, okay, I'm going to go check your did for the public key. You're going to prove to me that you control that you have the public private key that lets you verify, blah, 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 back and forth. And then I walk in with my VC to say, see, I verified that I am Drummond, and now I have access to dataset X.
exactly. And the most efficient way to do that is that the VC that gives me the authorization, is signed by the owner of dataset X.
Yep.
When I show up to say I want access, they say, give us a presentation of that VC,
Yeah.
and I sign that presentation with my private key for the DID. So
Right.
then all they have to do is first they look at it. They say, okay, here's your presentation. Here's the DID you're asserting. I'm
Yeah.
going to go get I'm use the DID method to get the public key. I'll check your signature. Yes, that matches. And your DID, and now I check the signature of their own signature if they're the ones who, and then you're good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. How come nobody's doing that?
What's that?
Why isn't it done?
Well, actually, there are systems that I mean that is literally what you just described is the new paradigm
Yes.
that you moved into with decentralized identity.
Yeah. We better I'm trying to work it through because of course I've got people who've never heard of this and are just like, we'll run an OpenID Connect server and run it all and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but if we had DIDs, then not only would I be using it for authentication, but I could have decentralized authorizations via VCs, and I could sign data sets that are public to say, I published this.
Exactly.
You have a lot more flexibility once you have an architecture with DIDs.
Let's switch this to, I'm trying to find right now. Oh, that's weird.
But I'm so far ahead that nobody, and I don't have the credentials of being like a security person.
Well, I'm reinforcing that you are exactly right, and I'm trying to find here quickly. Why don't I have this?
Yeah, I'm interested. And then we'll get going because it got,
I'm gonna get you this, okay. It's a blog post. Yeah, here it is. I'm gonna give you this link right now. Actually, I'll do what I like to do. I'll give it to you in Discord. It's a blog post by Tim Bauma. Do you know Tim?
yeah, I know Tim. Oh,
Yeah.
so days, huh?
What's that?
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, he's a character.
He is a character, but he is when he locks on a subject, he's quite a good writer about it. And he wrote this blog post called "Why I Can No Longer Support OAuth," and it describes exactly the pattern that you just, how it's, how OAuth does it by virtue of client server everything, and how the pattern just changes when you have DIDs, and when you've separated identification and authentication, with DIDs, and authorization with VCs. It's just really
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna have a look at that. And it's nice to know that I'm not
You're not hallucinating.
I'm not hallucinating like ChatGPT.
Got it.
Okay.
Good. Okay. In prep for the next call where we're going to get on and talk about the symposium, I did go through and do a little editing in the two forums,
Yep.
and then we realized, and if we have time and you want to just look at that channel list, we can get a bunch of feedback about that too. You're totally right. It's just much easier to use a Google Doc for that.
Yeah. I kind of want to solicit people because I want to get who's active and who's not.
Who's active and who's not around? You mean for
Like-
presentation? You mean?
We can put in a whole bunch of channels. We can recreate.
I see. For channels, yeah. Okay, I got it. Yeah. Good, right. In other words, don't just reproduce what we have. Just say who really wants a channel for something. Yeah, I love that. Good. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Excellent. I will see you in 8 minutes.
Yeah. Bye.